Hi, it's Bruce Willey from ThirstGym.com. Today we're going to talk about GPP or extra workouts within the Conjugate system. If you're looking for any of the max effort or dynamic effort videos, those are going to be linked in the description box below for you to check out. Each one of those videos is roughly 20 to 30 minutes breaking down how to lay out each aspect of those days to help you improve your squat, bench press, and deadlift. So with our ideas here that we have using the max effort and the dynamic effort method within the Conjugate system, the other part that Louis Simmons likes is GPP or extra workouts to help bring up that base level of conditioning to help your recovery, but also bring up weak points and lagging areas, particularly muscle groups. They're going to help you in your squat, your bench press, and deadlift. And since this is for powerlifting, that's what we're going to really focus on. Now, I'm going to kind of lay out a sample template here in terms of what you ideally would kind of have with your layouts. So we're just going to start with the day of the week being Monday. And so I'm basically just going to go through here and put each day on the whiteboard here. And what I really want you to try to get from here is thinking long term throughout the week, but also the month, throughout the training cycle of how you would lay these days out. So I'm going to do some abbreviations here. But for the Monday, typically that would be your max effort lower session. Your Wednesday would be your max effort upper. And then your Friday would be your dynamic effort lower. And your Saturday would be dynamic effort upper, okay? These would be how you would ideally have your training week laid out. Obviously, you could shift these around a little bit as you wanted, but the idea is that you're gonna have at least 48 hours between these 2 days, and then you're gonna have at least 72 hours between similar groups, so the lower body days and the upper body days. And you can see we've kind of checked those boxes here. But as long as you shift those days, that's okay. Now, I do know like some people, because of training schedules, will try to merge these close together. If you have to do that, that's okay. Ideally, you would not, but this would be the ideal layout that you would have. So that leaves Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday for us to do our GPP or extra work. Now, you're gonna have a couple different ways you can look at how you wanna do this and how you want to stimulate things. So for most people, they're going to probably usually have Sundays off. That's just, common for most people. They don't usually train that much. You certainly can. Now, obviously, if you shift your days around, that's going to change, right? But that leaves us with Tuesday and Thursday as our open days. Now, what I like to think of here, since I had a lower body day here, I don't want to affect my upper body day. Usually, this is going to be my extra lower day. And then my Thursday would be my my extra upper day in terms of my recovery and what I would do. And so the goal would be, obviously we did a lot of work this day. The things we're going to be doing here is going to be to promote blood flow and recovery for our Monday session, and same thing with our upper. What we're doing on Thursdays will go to help with our Wednesday sessions. Now, Louis is a big fan of, from both sides of the coin here, of doing sled work, but in particular for the lower body. And what's nice about sled work is it's very concentric only, so it's not going to make you sore. You can do high amounts of work with low loads. That's going to do a great job of promoting blood flow, but again, like I talked about, not making you sore, but enhancing the recovery process, getting quality movement, blood flow, and driving recovery to the muscle groups that were used in the day prior. And that's going to ideally speed up the recovery, so when we come back on Friday, we're in a good place to be. The other options for things like here are going to be like band leg curls. You can even do like band good mornings. You could do light machine work. And then you can obviously do extra abs and things of that nature. On your upper body day, again, you can still stick with the sled. Now I know what you're thinking, sled work for upper body, how would I implement that? Typically you're gonna look at things like rows, face pulls, overhead tricep extensions, curls, rear delt flies or Ys or Ts, or even face pulls with external rotation work. Those are going to be kind of your big bang for your buck things. When it comes to the pressing, if you happen to have a strap that's got a dual system, you could even do flies and presses. Those are harder to come by, so I usually don't like to try to bank on those. But what you can also do here is body weight work. So by that I mean push-ups, inverted rows, chin-ups if you happen to be very good at them, or pull-ups, or even band-assisted pull-ups and chin-ups to be able to get some body weight work in, anything of that nature. Obviously more band work. And here with band work, we're talking about face pulls, pull-aparts, press-downs, curls, You could do band resisted push-ups, you could do band flies, you could do extra delt works, you could do DeFranco pull apart where you're gonna stand on the band, pull up, come out. You could do different light dumbbell work as well. And then you could also do light machine work there as well, so long as you can keep things locked in. And then the goal would be this is going to help with your max effort upper, and then this is then going to make sure it doesn't bleed into our dynamic effort upper day on Saturday. We should have enough space that we're going to be recovery here, but it's going to help us recover for this particular session. That would be ideal. Now, the other thing here, I'm going to kind of erase what we did from a full week perspective, and let's just say hypothetically you can only manage to get one of these days in. 5 days a week is the maximum that you're wanting to go to the gym. When you're looking at that schedule, ideally for me, what I like to do is tack it on at the end of the week. So most people, if you're having to get 5 days in, you might see something like a max effort lower, and then you might see a day off. You might have your max effort upper, and then your max effort, or I'm sorry, your dynamic effort lower that following day. So this would be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, okay? And then you would have Friday off, and then you could have Saturday, and this would be your dynamic effort upper. A good place to put that one extra session would be here, which would be on Friday, and that's gonna let you get some recovery from your lower body perspective. But what you're gonna do, considering this is gonna be a full body system, and I'm gonna lay that here in a minute, that's not gonna affect your upper body day here on your dynamic effort day, especially if you're really smart about what you're doing. And then that still gives you Sunday off, okay? The other option would be that if you do wanna make sure you have that Friday off, what you can do is then do all this extra work on Sunday, and then that's gonna basically prepare you for Monday that's gonna come. And again, you've gotta be careful. I like the Friday. I would much rather have the off day going into my max effort lower day, but it's all personal preference, up to you. Now, when we're laying out a 1 day a week, I'm gonna kind of lay these out here. When we're looking at 1 time a week for this, what we're gonna really wanna make sure we're after is that we're touching full body work, and we wanna try to get this in less than 60 minutes, if at all possible, okay? So we want full body, 60 minutes, and ideally supersets are gonna be super valuable for our time here. So what I like to do is I usually like to start out with just one lower body exercise. I know we're talking about 60 seconds or 60 minutes and supersets and being time efficient. But what I usually like here is a squat or hinge based movement. And I'm gonna do this for either every minute on the minute or high reps and low rest period. And so a good example for this, what I like using the belt squat. I like using a goblet box squat. I also like using a heels elevated squat, especially for the off season. You can even use split squat variations here as well. You just have to be careful that you don't go too crazy here because it could make you sore. So that's why I usually lean towards the belt squat and the goblet box squat or the heels elevated squat. You can even, if you're really wanting, you're really limited on equipment, go with a leg press in terms of machine work. And then what this is gonna end up breaking down is usually 3 to 6 sets of 15 to 30 reps. I know what you're thinking, that's a lot of work, and yes it is. The goal is again to get a massive pump, and that's pretty much it. So you should have 3 to 5 reps, in reserve. And so you're not pushing things too crazy, but you're limiting the rest, having higher reps, leaving reps in reserve. We're leaving something there and we're getting a lot of blood flow, okay? So that's usually the first thing I like. And I said you can do every minute on the minute. So 10 sets of 10 is something I like. 10 reps every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. To give you an example, with like a goblet box squat, you're still doing a good amount of work. You're still moving, but you're never really truly maxing out what you can do on accessory work, but you're doing enough to get a pump and get some blood flow going, okay? Then for the next exercise, so again, I'm just gonna leave that up here. We're just gonna say, for our example, I'm just gonna say belt squat. And I'm gonna say we're gonna do 4 by 20, okay? Next up, then I like to do 2 exercises for lower body. I did a squat variation. Usually I'm gonna pick something hamstring related or posterior chain related. And then here I'm gonna kind of fill in as what I need. So for many people, that could be leg extensions. That could be, it could be lunges. Again, so I'm going to be careful here. It could even be extra ab work. Okay, so for my examples here, since these are supersetted, same kind of thing here. We want 2 to 5 sets of 10 to 25 reps. So I'm letting the reps drop down a little bit, but because they're supersetted, I might be hitting 2 of the same muscles at the same time. So that's something to consider. The other option here, if you got the sled, this would be a good way to do forwards drags and then backward drags. And that's going to let you check the hand posterior chain and essentially the quad work as well. So you got some options there. If you're a sled kind of person, that's where I like to put that. And so for what we're going to put for this example, again, I'm going to try to make this like you're kind of using machines and things you can do. We're going to do band leg curls. And we're going to do 3 sets of 20. And then I'm going to superset that up with a reverse sled drag. And we're going to do that for 3 by 25 yards. You can vary the distance on that based upon what you have, is what I have in my facility, so that's what I like to program with my people. Next, we're going to go to C's. So this is where I start implementing upper body, okay? I do 2 exercises here. I change color so you start seeing blue, that's why. I like this to be a press variation. I like to be this a pull variation, okay? So usually this is going to be like a push-up, dumbbell bench press, machine press, what have you. Pull variation, same thing. I like to use machines or body weight implement if at all possible. So what we're going to do here, I guess I'll give you some parameters I like to use. Again, I like 3 to 5 sets of anywhere from 10 to 20 reps. So I let this go a little bit heavier just because I can kind of push the intensity on the upper body a little bit more than I can the lower body without it affecting my recovery. And so what that's going to boil down to me having here is we're going to say we're going to do a neutral grip dumbbell bench press, and we're going to do 3 by 15 to 20. We're going to give a range, so as long as we're getting a good pump here. And then I'm going to do an inverted row, and that's going to be for same thing, 3 by 15 to 20. Okay, last box we're going to check. The last things we're going to do here, I usually like to direct arm work, shoulder work, bicep work, extra back work if you really want to. But for me, usually I'm doing some kind of tricep exercise here, and I usually do a shoulder exercise here to help with the bench press. If you're having elbow issues, I usually almost make this a curl. Okay, so we're just going to say there's elbow issues just to kind of spice this up a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to do cable press downs. And we're going to do that for 3 by 30. And then we're going to do supinated dumbbell curls for 3 by 15 to 20. Okay, so the idea here is we're basically going to get an arm pump, make sure our elbows and things feel good. Same thing here, we're going to get some blood flow around the upper body. And then up here with the lower body aspect, we're going to work on our squat pattern, but get a lot of blood flow in our legs early, and then hit some leg curls, some sled drags to make sure that our legs are fresh as possible for when we have our next lower body day. And our upper body day, same kind of thought process here. This should be a pretty quick session. There's no reason why it should take longer than 60 minutes. Let's see what a 2-day-a-week one would look like. All right, now we're going to lay out a 2-day-a-week training plan for our extra GPP-based workouts with a lower and upper body split. So for the lower body day here, I usually only like to pick 3 to 4 exercises, and that is absolutely it, okay? I don't superset or anything. Just like here, I like my first thing to be a squat pattern. And same kind of thought process here. I might keep the volume a little bit less because I got a whole day that I can implement stuff. So this might actually be more like 3 to 4 sets of anywhere from 15 to 30 reps. And we'll just kind of go through this pattern here and I'll autofill them. B1, I usually like to pick something posterior chain related, pull-throughs, reverse hypers, back extensions, anything of that nature. So we're gonna go with a GHH or a back extension. Okay, and that one, go ahead and fill this out too, I guess, and I'm doing that. And here we're just gonna go with a goblet squat, keep it simple. Okay, And then C1, I usually try to think about something single joint, leg extensions, leg curls. Those are kind of my go-tos here. So we're gonna go with the posterior chain work. We're gonna go with, we'll go band leg curls again. And then what we're gonna do here on the last one, sometimes I'll put extra abdominal work here if we really need it. The other thing is I like to almost make this conditioning based. So if I can do things like kettlebell swings, what we're gonna do on this one, but you could even do your sled drag work and stuff here. And so to quickly autofill this, we're gonna say we're gonna do 3 by 20. We're gonna do 3 by burn. So basically till you feel a burn with just body weight. Band leg curls, we're gonna do 3 by 40. Kettlebell swings, we're gonna do 10 every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. Okay, so that's not gonna be that much work, right? I mean, this is pretty manageable. You are gonna sweat, you are gonna be out of breath a little bit, but by the time you're resting 60 to 75 seconds at each one of these, you can see how this can quickly get done in about 45 minutes. Now for our upper, we're essentially gonna take the same kind of process here, and again, my first exercise I like is a pressing motion. If I've got just one thing and I'm not supersetting it, which is what I like to do with my 2-day-a-week options here, what I really like to do, I really like chaos work here, so I'm gonna put that on. We're gonna do a chaos bench press, so we're gonna do 3 sets of 20. And what that means is you're gonna let the weights hang from the barbell and oscillate as you press. What I like about that is it challenges stability, it feels great on your shoulders, you're gonna get an awesome upper body pump from it, but you're gonna automatically limit the amount of loads that you can use, and it's gonna make sure you can reinforce technical work if you need to, squeezing the bar, leg drive, keeping your back tight, all that great stuff. So you can get a lot of good carryover here if you feel that you need that, especially if you're not as well versed in the technical side of your pressing. You can certainly use that here. But again, push-ups, machine work, dumbbells, that all can check that box as well. B1 is then next gonna be a row variation. So we're gonna kind of go back to like what we did with the last one, but I'm gonna mix things up just a little bit. Instead of using an inverted row here, I'm just gonna do a machine row or a chest supported machine row. And I'm gonna drop my weights here just a little bit. I'm gonna go 3 by 15 and go a little bit heavier on my back work because this isn't gonna tax me in terms of the weight, but I can actually push a little bit more weight here rather than 20 of those. C1 is then gonna be my next exercise where I'm gonna go very arm specific. Usually I go pretty tricep heavy here. So we're gonna go with band press downs. And we're gonna do 150 total. And we're just gonna chase a massive tricep pump. Next one, upper body is the only one where I actually have a superset. Usually I'm picking shoulders and any kind of arm, shoulder care, what have you. So noting that I already did a row variation, what I'm actually probably gonna do here is I'm gonna do a supinated lat pull down. And I'm gonna do 3 by 20 and I'm gonna superset that with a dumbbell lateral raise. And I'm gonna do that for 3 sets of 20. And that's gonna be no rest, just to kind of spice things up. So that's gonna give me a huge upper body pump in my shoulders, my lats, my back, my traps. I'm gonna feel that a lot. And after I've already benched, rowed, and done some press downs, which are kind of the main areas that you might need to focus on for your bench press, you give those just a little bit more attention without having to worry about supersetting anything. Then you can do your upper body work, get some fluff in, and get out. Let's quickly recap everything that we went over. All right, so to recap our GPP and extra workouts, here's our general layout with our 2-day-a-week. We've got the 1-day-a-week one that you just watched. What I really want you to take away here from this is that these extra workouts are designed to promote recovery, blood flow, and improve conditioning, especially if you're somebody that's out of shape. So if you're coming off of a meet, these sessions are actually probably more important than your actual main training, because if you're out of shape and you peaked properly, you're probably doing a lot less total work going into the meet because you're pushing intensity so high. Now, if you're coming off of a meet, this becomes a little more important because you've had that high period of high intensity. Now we can actually drop that down, get some conditioning built back into our system so that we're prepped for heavier demands as they come in the months to come. Now, the other thing to think about these workouts are these workouts should not take away from the workouts that are coming up later in the week. They're here to stimulate and improve those workouts. So you want to treat these with delicacy and that understand that this is not the time to go hard in the gym. So if you're incredibly competitive or you're with training partners and they're always pushing you, that's great. I think that's fantastic. It's gonna do a lot for your total. However, if you're working in with a group, as long as the group understands that this is designed to not be a dick measuring contest, for lack of a better word, this can do a lot for you in terms of recovery. If you push these days too hard, they're gonna affect the days you have coming, and that's not what we want. We want these to promote those upcoming sessions to be more beneficial. So my suggestion to make that happen is always leave reps in the tank. 3 to 5 reps in the tank on absolutely everything. You should be able to add more weight, more load. Be like, that was not easy, but there's no doubt that I could have definitely done more of those things. The other thing to think of is this is density-based training, okay? It's essentially all it is training a lot of workload in a small period amount of time, which is gonna promote training density, which then is ultimately gonna help you promote more blood flow, as we mentioned, but at the same time also stimulate new muscle growth if you need it in particular areas because of that time under tension. Again, a lot of these things are higher time under tension exercises, but also with that high training density, that's gonna promote hypertrophy. And if you're picking the exercises of where you need that, or the muscle groups that got worked incredibly hard the day before, this is gonna be a good stimulus for your body. Like, hey, we need to drive more muscle to those tissues to be able to recover. The other thing I wanna make sure that you understand here is that these should be incredibly short, 45 to 60 minutes in and out type sessions. Now, if you're somebody that is really tight and you don't move very well, then you can get more specific on some of these of how you load and different things there. The other thing is you can also use mobility work as fillers between these exercises. So for example, if you want to do your squats 3 sets of 20, that's great. You can pair it with a hip flexor stretch while you're resting 60 to 75 seconds. If you're doing a back extension, you can do that. And then you can do a hip mobility drill like hip 90-90s or anything of that nature. And same thing with the leg curls. Now the kettlebell swings every minute, you're not gonna wanna do that. Upper body wise, same kind of concept though. If you're doing an upper body exercise like a bench press, you could do something for pec mobility, lat mobility, superset it with that, and then you're still using your downtime efficiently, but in things that can help you move better. But that only you can answer that if you need to do that. If you feel that you move well enough, then you don't have to worry about that, and your standard warm-ups are doing what they need to do. And that's fantastic, but I do think that's an overlooked aspect of the system is that, again, it's extra workouts, GPP, and recovery. Anything that checks that box makes this session more beneficial for you down the road. All right, that wraps up our GPP extra workout video. If you happen to like this video, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment. Let me know, has the Conjugate system worked for you? Did any of this happen to help you in your Conjugate endeavors and approaches that you're trying to implement with this system? Also remember that the max effort videos and the dynamic effort videos are linked in the description box. In every video, they're gonna have them all there so you can find them if you happen to not know where they are. But at the end of the day, I filmed well over an hour of content on the system just alone to be able to help give you some well thought out direction of how your programming is gonna go using the Conjugate system to help your squat, bench press, and deadlift, because I do believe it's highly misunderstood in the raw population. And at the end of the day, this system does work. You just have to know where you want to plug your pieces in, how you're going to progress those over time. And ultimately, I tried to lay this out the simplest I could for you so you could get results immediately while implementing the system after 3 to 5 weeks. So if you got any direct questions, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to help you out, and we'll see you next week at the next video.